Welcome back to the channel. Signs of the last days. Do you see them? That's what I'm going to talk about here for a few minutes. Because it hit me this morning at church. It hits me a lot, this particular theme. It's probably been the most uh, pressing thing for me for a few years. And it feels like it just intensifies. It feels like, and a lot of you guys will resonate, it feels like we are heading toward a brick wall, or what it really feels like is we're running out of space, running out of time, space, something like we're getting pressed up against a hard wall, is the feeling that it has for me. The same way when that thing happened in 2020, it felt it felt as though there was an oppressive feeling in the air that something really ominous was coming. That's the feeling I got. I mean, like I've never had before. Um, I'm never that guy. I'm not sitting here saying the end of the world is tomorrow. It's next week. It's next year. I mean, obviously, we all know you don't put a date on it, and to sit there and say for a certainty, to a certainty, that we're at the very, very end. I don't know that. No one can say that to a certainty. What I do know is we're told to watch. We're told to be watchful and vigilant and to observe the things that are happening. And when I look around, I know that forever people have said, oh, it's the end. Oh, it's the end. But I'm telling you right now, when I look around, I actually sincerely do think that we're in the end, the last stretch. However long that is, it's not decades and decades and decades, in my opinion. We're in the last stretch. And there are reasons why I think that. And I'm going to go over some of them here today. And the difference is between now, some of the things I'll go over are major differences between now and any other time in history. But the biggest difference of now is you have all the things requested sort of happening simultaneously. In the past, there you could say, well, that's occurring, and well, that's occurring, but it wasn't everything you'd expect to be occurring at the same time, which it is today, in my opinion. So the first one I'll say is the rampant rise in narcissism and cold, loveless people. We know that's in 2 Timothy 3, 1 to 5, and it even kind of connected onward from there. And Jesus talked about one of the expectations of the end is that the love of many would grow or wax cold. And I always say this because the terminology there makes it sound like there's a cold breeze that blows, a chill, a frost that blows over the earth. That's the love of people is just it's just cold. And of course, Paul talks about in that passage in 2 Timothy, people are going to be gossipers and slanderers and liars and rebellious and obsessed with money and inflated and puffed up and all the things that narcissism is. And so what the point is, narcissism has always existed, but what we expect to see at the end is a rampant increase in narcissism. Well, guys, this is a narcissism channel primarily, but I talk about a lot of other things. Who can sit there and tell me that narcissism has not exploded in the last 15 to 20 years? And there's a serious correlation there with social media and dating apps and all that stuff. That's the smartphone has created more monsters than all of Hollywood and Disney and whatever else combined. I mean, the smartphone has absolutely plumb created infinite monsters out there. So selfish, so self-absorbed, and insatiable. Never enough, never satisfied, cheating, all the stuff that happens. The smartphone is, in my opinion, it is the biggest thing that has really caused so much of the bad behavior to explode. It just wasn't like this to this degree before that smartphone. I'm telling you, for those of you who are really young, maybe, most of you are not, the days before the smartphone and the days after are very different. It's night and day. The way people did everything and behavior was very different for the most part. So narcissism, it's exploded. I mean, you even have people that aren't going at this from a religious lens that are saying, narcissism. Dr. Romney, for instance, narcissism, maybe one of every 5 or 6 people is a full fledged, full blown narcissist, meaning pretty much lacking all empathy, all care, all love. And that doesn't even count the people that are on the spectrum that are really bad. It is unreal. You are more likely today to meet a narcissist in a dating relationship than a non. We already know there are studies that have proven there are more narcissists on dating apps than healthy people. And it's not that different in the real world. It's everywhere you go. So people are cold, they're loveless, they're callous, they just don't care. They're so self absorbed, they're so puffed up. I talked about men and women on a couple of videos ago where I just took the buzzsaw out to both men and women and talked about all the issues with them. And it's 40 something minute long video because men and women are a train wreck today, unlike ever before. And so the rise of narcissism, that also gets to relationships. Men and women, male and female relationships, familial relationships, all of these things are mostly hot garbage today. Divorce is rampant. Those who do stay married are 80 to 90% not happy in the marriage. The number of people out there in good relationships and good marriages is exceedingly low. It's exceedingly low today. Because even those people you think, well, they've been married for a long time. Yeah, but are they happy? Is it a good relationship? Or is it a business transaction? Or is it staying together for some reason? Kids, finances, have a home together. It's all we know. Whatever it is, a lot of marriages and relationships today aren't good. And of course, we know they end at a very massive clip. Nobody can seem to stay together. Nobody can seem to be happy if they are together. It's very rare, it's very unusual. And that's just the truth. If you're in one of those marriages, that's amazing. I'm happy for you. It's rare. And you know it is. So relationships are a disaster. People don't get along. Cheating, rampant, all of these different things. So, in other words, what we have with narcissism and the broken relationship thing is a world where people just don't get along. They just do not get along fundamentally in the most basic ways, in the most powerful ways. The world is absolutely out of sorts with the way that people engage with one another nowadays. That coldness, that callousness, that lack of being able to stick it out, get along, have a good functioning relationship, and that carries out into the real world. It is often icy and frigid out there today. Just as Jesus said, the love of many will wax cold. Well, it has. So, other things, I have a list here. The apostate church. For example, in 2 Thessalonians 2, one of the things Paul talks about is the rise of the apostate church. That toward the end, there would be a great falling away. And Jesus discussed this as well, and there's other little bits and pieces in Scripture that talks about this. But in other words, there would be a time toward the end when not only the love of many will grow cold, but also those of the faith will fall away. And you have something like an apostate church, meaning it's fake, it's not real, it's not authentic. Well, that's here today too. Sorry to say, most churches are an absolute train wreck. And they really are. And I've seen it all my life, and it's worse now than ever. And you can see this every once in a while. Things happen at churches, serious things, and all of a sudden it's like the cockroaches are crawling out from the cupboard. And you're like, well, that person's doing that, and that person's into that, and now they did this, and it's like tell all. It's like truth day because God flushes this stuff out. But guys, this isn't like one church. I'm talking like in general. And the church today in general is absolutely indistinguishable from the world. The church and the world look identical. The people in general are that are in churches, filling seats, filling pews, whatever the case, part of the church, They are living as worldly as anybody else. They are absolutely on that wide path because we know the path is narrow and hard that leads to life. And that goes for the church too. And the church gets snookered by everything, whether it's political strife, major events that are usually lies today. Because, guys, almost anything you hear, the narrative handed down to us by the world, we'll just say, on any given issue is not the truth. It is virtually never the truth. It doesn't matter what you're talking about. Jeffrey Epstein, political things, assassinations and assassination attempts, and wars and everything else, it's just not the truth. So we live in a world today where it is an absolute abject disaster. So yeah, the apostate church is in effect. And they, like I said, they get rolled over by everything. 2020 was a perfect illustration of that when you had churches setting themselves up as injection clinics. You had people, it's hard to, I don't want to go into much detail about this part of it because this is a great way to get your channel blocked. And I actually had a former channel removed because I spoke about the events of 2020 in certain ways. But the church fell hook, line, and sinker for what occurred. Let's put it that way. Most of the church went right over the cliff with the rest of the world and believed everything that happened was authentic. Everybody was trying to do the right thing. You had to do this, you had to do that. When to me, the thing smelled horrible from day one. Before it even sat and came in, it smelled bad. If you couldn't see that there was something really, really wrong about what occurred in that year, uh, your spiritual litmus test, your spiritual sniffer is off. It's off. Sorry to say. Maybe it's not now, but it was then. Because that thing had wrong written all over in every single way, shape, and form. The church went right overboard with that. Fell hook, line, and sinker for it. We fall, the church, not we, the church in general falls hook, line, and sinker for every political thing that comes down the pike. They believe, and I'm not trying to make fun of people, that there really is this genuine war between right and left, and it's the good guys versus the evil guys. And yes, there are issues that are good and bad, right and wrong, clearly. But that the two opposing sides, it's evil versus good, good versus evil. Not the truth, not the truth. Satan is the god of this age. He runs the world. Most of this is to create division and strife and chaos, in which case then the world elites can come in and create their order out of the chaos. So to say, oh, well, this political side is of the devil, this is the good guys, no, you've missed it. And trust me, I used to be there at one point in my life. It's not the truth. Church has fallen for that. Church has fallen for every sort of, I'm going to word this as careful as I can, and you guys know why. Different genders, um, people of the same sex, loving each other, every single thing you can think of, the church is largely embraced. It looks nothing like the bride of Christ. There is still a bride of Christ. It's small, it's a remnant. It's a global remnant of true, authentic believers that comprise the real church. The rest of it is apostate, it's in free fall. So that's an expectation of the end. And it's hard for me to imagine it being worse than it is. So what about here's a huge one. AI and AI has created an alternative reality, and it's done it very, very quickly. See, I've been looking to the AI thing for a while, but the speed in which it all occurred was just poof overnight. And people have lapped, the people of the world and many of the church have lapped this up. They think AI is great, it's so helpful, it's so convenient. AI is writing books for people, AI is making proposals, AI is responding to your texts. AI is creating presentations. It's doing your job searches. It's doing all this. How wonderful, right? Well, all that's really happened is AI is creating an alternative reality. It's not the real world. It's a fake world. And I'll tell you something I've been banging on for a little while that even I thought was far out. It's not. It's here. It's totally here. People are going to start dating AI chatbots. You're going to hear people routinely talk about their boyfriend, their girlfriend, and talk about how great Brad is or how wonderful Sarah is. And it's an AI bot. People are spending money. I was just reading a study. There were about $30 million spent last year on gifts for AI boyfriend and girlfriends. So yes, they're using real money to buy digital, virtual, not real gifts for a person who does not exist. And like weird science, people are going on and they're creating this person to their specifications, and they're having what they think is an authentic relationship with someone who doesn't exist. Like I said, AI is writing your books, it's doing your presentations, it's setting up this whole world, and it's not real. And relationships, as if they're not a mess enough, now, and because they're so bad, there's also going to be that appeal. People are going to think, this is great. The person I'm with, he's caring, he's loving, he's supportive, he lets me do what I want, he doesn't give me a fuss. I've even heard people talking about the graphic nature of S3X with their digital AI chatbot. You don't think this is real? Trust me, it is. It is real. And before you know it, it's going to be right in front of your face. What AI has done is created is creating an entire matrix, an illusionary world, and that's exactly what the devil wants to do. So I don't know that there's a specific. I don't know that I would correlate the rise of AI and this whole world it's creating as a specific biblical prophecy. Although there might be one I'll get to in a minute. It might be connected. But what I can tell you is it is the ultimate example of Satan's ownership over this world, this age. Because what he's able to do through this is create a world where people simply people simply don't live in any semblance of reality anymore. It's a dream world, and they're fully immersed in this dream world. That's what AI is doing. So, in other words, it's cut the very fabric of reality. It has literally destroyed the very fabric of reality itself. And people applaud it. People love it. It's convenient. It's wonderful. AI does this for me. It does that for me. Yeah, well, it's literally torn apart the fabric of reality. And it's going to continue to get worse. And light speed. That's the alarming thing about AI. Nothing has moved faster that I've ever seen than AI. But when you even start to think about it, it's there. I on this book I'm working on, I was talking about how in the years to come, people will be bragging about their AI boyfriends and girlfriends. And little did I even know, writing it, I had to revamp it. This is already here. There's a lot of data on the ground about this. There's a lot of sites, there's a lot of people creating a not real spouse or boyfriend, girlfriend. So yeah, AI, that's gotta be. And as Elon Musk said, AI is like unleashing the demon. And that's what it is. And he also said, I hope the robots are nice to us. And he's not kidding, because your life is going to be run by things that are not real. Speaking of that, 2 Thessalonians 2 also talks about a great lie and an associated strong delusion that God sends into the world. Not the lie, people believe this great lie, but God sends a delusion, a strong, what literally says a deluding influence, to come in and basically seal the deal for those people who have already bought all these lies. In other words, they're already living a lie, they've embraced the lies, and finally, God basically, in a sense, he's giving them to a reprobate mind, and he's sending this powerful delusion that seals them. They did it themselves, but basically, he is sealing the deal. That's how I understand this. So not like he's making people unsaved. They've chosen to be unsaved. They've chosen to live a lie and to believe the lie. So there's a reason to believe for me that the events of 2020 may well have been that great lie. Nothing has ever had the impact in a whole global. Think about this. What has ever happened in a truly global sense not isolated, not territory, not region, a global sense that was so false, not the actual thing itself, the existence of the, I'm being a little, coy here, because I have to be. The existence of that thing was real, but the entire narrative surrounding it, every single last part about it, from its origins to what you had to do, to how bad it was, to the fix, the ultimate cure, every part of it was a lie. Every single part of it was a lie. And the whole world, like dominoes, went down for it. That's never happened. Nothing has ever been truly global in nature. To this day, it's the only truly global in nature massive lie that has ever existed. So, might we already have that fulfillment there? Maybe. But what I just spoke about as well, maybe that's the delusion as well. Maybe that's the lie. This total alternative reality, total tearing of the fabric of reality, and people embracing it. That could be it too. I don't know. I don't know for sure, but I'm saying we've got a couple of things right there, and that's global in nature. We've got a couple of things right there that you could easily classify as a worldwide, massive, global lie and a delusion. A delusion because people have bought into the lie. So there we have that in place. I'm pretty confident personally that one of those two things may well be it. Like I said at the beginning, we don't know any of this to a certainty. I'm not telling you any of this to a certainty is true. What I'm telling you is it looks awfully, awfully suspicious. And all of this is happening at the same time. If you think that thing of 2020, oh, it's dead, it's gone, it's over. No, 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 no. They fundamentally changed the world and the events that took place there. Everything about it. I'm not going to go through the whole list. But the economic slide, everything that's occurred since then is in large part by that, which served as the catalyst to do so many things. So that's it. So I'll sort of, and there's a lot of other things. The gospel has been preached around the world. Jesus said the gospel will be preached to the world. Well, it basically has. Has it been preached to every single last little tiny piece? I don't think so, no. But I'm not sure that's even the prerequisite. That every single piece of the earth. But at the same time, really it kind of has. Because the existence of the internet, everything in the world is linked up. And that's another thing that makes this world today so different than ever. The whole globe is linked up. They were able to do something like a 2020 because the world's linked up. So many different things that are accomplished today, financially, socially. The world's linked up from overseas, all continents. That's never been. So what we have though is Jesus said that the last days, and I made a separate video over this not too long ago. The last days would be like the days of Noah. Because people think it's taught that it's going to be this fiery inferno and chaos and everything all over the place, scorched earth, Terminator 2, Judgment Day sort of stuff. Well, that's not true. That's not how the Bible actually describes the last days. Paul says that the last days people will be saying peace and safety. They'll think it's a time of security. What we do right now, the current administration actually talks about that. It's the year, and I can't remember who did it. Maybe it's the UN. Somebody recently said this is the year of peace and safety. So there you go. Go look it up. Don't recall who that was. It's something like the UN or a major global coalition. This is the year of peace and safety. That's the current administration of the United States. That's what they say all the time. Peace and safety. Peace or security. Whichever one. So Paul said peace and safety. Jesus said it's like the days of Noah. Well, the days of Noah, to the people then, it was life as normal. Nothing insane was happening physically, but the world was morally corrupt, morally in chaos. So most of the world didn't see it. They just participated in it. They were living their days, day in, day out, doing all the things, and they had no idea the flood was going to come. They didn't have any idea because they were so lost in the matrix of the world and the comings and goings and thought everything was good. Even though it's horribly corrupt morally, they thought everything was fine. It's just going to go on and on and on. Whoosh, the flood came and took them all, save for 8. Jesus said the last days are going to be just like that. People are going to live thinking there's always more time. Nothing crazy's happening. It's peace and safety. World is good. Everything's good. It's wonderful. We're marrying. We're giving in marriage. We're eating and drinking. And in other words, just very ordinary seeming world to most people because they're blind. They've missed that the world is so morally corrupt, morally bankrupt. That's the sign of the end. A completely morally bankrupt world where most people think it's great because they live in this matrix type of thing. And AI, like I said, that's going to help tremendously with that whole process. But the days of Noah in the last days look similar, where we're living in it. People, like I said, they're absolutely caught up in their own world, arrogant, puffed up, conceited. They're on the dating apps, they're creating AI bots. They're living as though everything is fine when it's a disaster. They're teaching wickedness, they're doing wickedness, they're applauding those who do those things. So you have to have eyes to see. And that's what this video is really about. Is this, the signs of the last days? Do you see them? For some of you, this is all going to resonate. All of this seems to be building very quickly and coming together, and there basically isn't anything left. Virtually, it's just a severity. How bad will it get? But pretty much all the requirements, as far as I can tell, of what we'd be waiting to see have happened or are happening right now. You think, well, what about the Antichrist? I'm not going to touch on that one right now in this video, but I'm going to tell you right now, there is a person whom I used to support, and many of you might as well, who is deemed to be a savior of the world. He calls himself a savior. There is a person right now that is on the world stage in the most powerful, prominent way that literally fulfills every single expectation and prophecy of the Antichrist that I can think of. Does that mean that he is? No, it doesn't mean that he is. But I mean, this is a mirror image. If he's not, he's the closest thing I've seen. He checks every single box I can think of. So maybe for another video, some of you guys probably already know what I'm talking about. You may have every single ingredient happening at the same exact time. So guys, the advice is be vigilant, watch, and for goodness sakes, for the love of all that is good and holy, get yourself on the narrow path. Get yourself on that narrow path where you're following the Lord and you're focused on Him and you're not part of this matrix and you're not being deviant, morally deviant. You're following the Lord as closely as you can. You're embracing Him. You can't get close enough, fast enough. That kind of feeling to the Lord. That tiny little narrow path, we have to be on it to the very best of our ability right now because this is if not actually the last days, it's a truly treacherous time. That's to say the least. So, guys, that's my thoughts on the last days and where we are with things. And like I said, I'm not putting expectation, I'm not putting some prediction. What I'm telling you is we're told to read the signs. I believe I am. Many of you are. And what I'm seeing matches very closely with what we would expect at the end. Gird up, armor up, get on the narrow path, help others to do it. So that's my video for today, guys. Drop comments below. Come at you with another one soon. And until then, God bless.